something really stupid again. Do you want to know what it is?
Is this guy really gonna go to every Margaritaville in the country? Well, technically, that title is a lie. Because I'm going to every Margaritaville in the country and Canada!
And you may be wondering to yourself, Ted, after everything you went through on the Rainforest Cafe trip, why would you go on a trip like this again? Here's what happened. Last year when we were finishing our final Rainforest Cafe, we noticed that there was a Margaritaville in Las Vegas as well. So a joke between us became that next year we would go to every Margaritaville in the United States. And we laughed at the thought, and then that concept ate away at us for the next 6 months. So Eddie and I joined forces again, ready to learn about this new restaurant.
As we headed toward the restaurant, I was getting increasingly nervous because this trip is even longer, so I was about to find out what I was dedicating a 12th of my year to. After finally arriving, we were greeted almost immediately by the Margaritaville sign. And I could not have guessed what was inside. Jimmy Buffett's likeness plastered across the entire restaurant. Jimmy's music was playing on the speakers. There was Jimmy-themed food, Jimmy drinks. There was a giant Jimmy Buffett's margarita blender. There were even screens playing Jimmy video at the table. It began to dawn on me that this restaurant wasn't named after just one song, Margaritaville, that Jimmy Buffett made. This entire restaurant was a cult dedicated to everything Jimmy Buffett. They even had my favorite Jimmy Buffett quote on the wall. Pour me something tall and strong. This door is to remain unlocked during business hours. As we were seated, we were given the absolute honor of sitting at the boat table. Now, the boat table was interesting because it's a table that looks like a boat.
Our next Margaritaville was located all the way in San Antonio, Texas, so we had a lot of ground to cover before that. So we drove 373 miles from Los Angeles to Phoenix, Arizona.
We made it to Phoenix.
You know what they say, what happens in Phoenix? I don't know, because I've never spent time here.
And on day 2, we had to drive 430 miles to El Paso, Texas. This drive was pretty boring. That is, of course, until we started seeing billboards for something referred to as The Thing.
We're on our way right now to see The Thing. We're thinking it might be like just a man that they found.
Just some kind of funny guy.
I'm looking for a goblin or a Grimbley.
I want to see something fucked up.
We're in the middle of nowhere in Arizona. We're about to figure out what The Thing is.
The interior of this place was like your average roadside gift shop for tourists, until we found the museum. This museum was absolutely ridiculous. They would ask important questions like, what if dinosaurs were ruled by aliens from another planet? We had stumbled upon the greatest and the dumbest museum in the middle of nowhere. They had entire lore on these aliens. They had life-size sculptures of these guys too. And I don't know who designed these alien sculptures, but they made them kind of sexy, which was distracting. God, oh my God, getting turned on in this museum. Turns out the aliens were secretly controlling all of human history. Great. Cool. Oh, jeez. Then they just started pulling connections from everywhere. The Loch Ness Monster, Bigfoot, Illuminati, the Easter Island heads, a picture of the Twin Towers. I hope this isn't implying what I think it is. And at the end of the museum, we finally got to figure out what The Thing was. And that was this.
I mean,
It's a paper mache doll, essentially.
cool.
You want to get out of here?
Yes. Day 3, and it is time for Margaritaville number 2. Ted and I spent most of our day crossing about halfway through Texas until we finally arrived at the San Antonio Riverwalk. We actually came here last year, and I just like this spot a lot. It's a very beautiful place in the city. So we finally located our second Margaritaville and met up with our friend Schlatt, who would be joining us for this meal. Now, this being my second Margaritaville ever, I was actually surprised that it looked somewhat similar to the one in City Walk, but it also had like a Texas twist to all of the theming. Anyways, I ordered the fish and chips. Margaritaville has so much fried fish and shrimp on the menu that I thought I should definitely try their fish and chips because it must be a flagship dish for them. As we waited for our food, I ordered a watermelon margarita that was way too sweet. Finally, my fish and chips arrived, and these look like frozen fish fillets to you, right?
Hey, Eddie, I cooked those up in my microwave the other day.
They tasted okay, and we had a fun time just chatting and drinking over dinner. We seemed to be in the most Texas corner of the entire restaurant. It had the two things that Texas is famous for: cattle and a big old puddle next to your table. When you see a big old puddle, you know you're in Texas.
So we said our goodbyes to this Margaritaville. Then we strolled along the Riverwalk, and along the way, we actually stumbled upon an old friend, the Rainforest Cafe.
Oh, hey, look, it's the Rainforest Cafe. You remember that one from San Antonio? Hey, there was a tiger, I think, in that. Hey,
We gotta go.
We left San Antonio to drive to Austin, Texas to crash at Schlatt's place because tomorrow we had to keep heading east.
Bye, Schlatt.
Bye, Schlatt.
Bye, Schlatt.
Goodbye. Thank
See
you.
ya. Thank you so much.
You guys gotta get the fuck out of here.
No, we can stick around and be like, it'll be like a fun day. Oh, okay. Yep.
So we departed from Austin on our way to New Orleans where we'd be staying the night. Wait. Oh my God, he's back. We were passing by my favorite beaver-themed gas station, Buc-ee's, and you know we had to stop. I was almost losing my mind with excitement rolling up to this paradise. And walking in, it was just as glorious as I remember. It was a madhouse in here. And they still had everything. Fresh fruit, tote bags, jerky. It was overwhelming. Party supplies, river tubes, delicious brisket. I was losing my mind. A sausage on a stick? The beaver owns the banks? What the fuck is a beaver nugget? My love for mascots. My love for theme. Oh God, it's happening again.
You got a problem, dude.
What are you talking about? We traveled about 90 miles to Biloxi, Mississippi for our next location. And you're about to learn I wasn't lying when I said that Jimmy Buffett had created an entire business empire from this single song. Because in addition to Margaritaville, you've got Cheeseburger in Paradise Restaurant, Land Shark Bars, a beer of the same name, frozen drink machines, portable tailgate grills, apparel, drinkware, and as we're seeing for the first time in Biloxi, Margaritaville resorts. For the purpose of this trip, as long as these resorts contain or are close to a Margaritaville, we'll be staying at them. Arriving here, we were confronted with the true scale of this empire that Jimmy had built. Everything in this resort was Margaritaville. They even had a Margaritaville coffee shop in the lobby, and upon entering our room, we were assaulted with more island vibes. There was even quotes from Jimmy Buffett in the elevators. Quite the poet, this guy.
He really just knows how to say something that, like, doesn't really mean anything, but also means everything.
We had to travel through a massive arcade as well, but we eventually found our way to Margaritaville number 3. We were sat next to this volcano-type structure that doubled as a rock wall people could climb on, which was interesting. This time I ordered a tropical fruit margarita, which I did not expect to be a slushie. And just when we thought this would be another average dinner, without any warning, alarm bells rang, and the volcano began to expel smoke. I could feel myself having flashbacks to the thunderstorms from the Rainforest Cafe. But all of that changed and reality set in when the volcano played this sound effect.
What the fuck was that?
And then immediately after, the restaurant begins blasting the song Margaritaville as we sit in a green haze of confusion. Okay then.
Today started with a lunch at the Margaritaville in Destin, Florida. Now this Margaritaville was directly on the water. Unlike, say, the one at Universal City Walk, this one was not themed to be on a beach, it just actually was on a beach. Our lunch here was going to be my first of 2 Margaritaville meals in the day. I got an Uptown Margarita, even though I'm getting pretty tired of having sweet cocktails so often, and also got the jerk salmon. The drink was fine, and the salmon was actually pretty good, especially after a bunch of days of fried and road trip food. The view of our meal also featured a bunch of weird boats. That was just really fun for me to see a lot of boats that look like they're not supposed to be on the water. We then paid the check and got ready to drive just an hour and a half before we had another Margaritaville meal in Panama City Beach. The PCB location was at this boardwalk area called Pier Park, and even though it was a little bit cloudy, this location was right on the water and beautiful yet again, which was a great distraction because the last thing I wanted to do an hour and a half after my last meal was to eat a meal at the same restaurant in a different location. The interior was pretty big and elaborate compared to some we had seen, but the place was super busy, so Ted and I opted to sit at the bar. I was still so full from the salmon, but I decided to get a chicken quesadilla for my food and a what the fuck was it called? a Ruby Red Renegade for my cocktail. Why did I choose it? Because the name of the vodka in it was called Deep Eddy, and that's my name, so I got it. Even though we were both full and exhausted, at least Ted and I had a perfect view of a very blue-tinted TV screen that exclusively showed Jimmy Buffett's Instagram posts, and boy does this guy know how to post. You had to kind of squint to see what the pictures were because the tint of the TV screen was so blue, but this guy's posting feet for free. Jimmy, you are a celebrity. You can charge for those puppies. Then we headed to the beach to see the sunset, and wow, this was absolutely beautiful. I had a great time wiggling my toes in the sand and staring at the sunset, but you don't get to see my toes because you didn't pay me.
On day 7, we had to drive the entire length of Florida in a single day to our next Margaritaville in Hollywood, Florida. And we had an increasing worry that, judging by the rain clouds, Florida was not going to make it easy for us.
Oh my God.
This rain came down on us as if it was a message from the rainforest gods that we were committing high treason.
This is ridiculous.
In all of my years of driving, I had not dealt with rain like this. Whenever it was pelting down on us, we dropped to like 50 feet of visibility in seconds. It also made me a bit nervous because I had packed most of my clothing in the back of the truck, which was only protected by a tarp. Hope that doesn't go badly. This rain would haunt us all the way until we reached our destination, the Hollywood, Florida Margaritaville Resort. Now, I was expecting this resort to be the same island-themed kitsch as Biloxi, but then we walked into the lobby. This was the fanciest hotel I'd ever been to, and also giant flip-flop.
It's you, Bigfoot looking ass, Sasquatch
motherfucker. This hotel was so massive that they gave us a map, which we had to use to find our 6th Margaritaville.
It's a labyrinth in here, and Jimmy Buffett might be the Minotaur.
We eventually found the restaurant, and I could feel this one weighing down on me. More boats, Jimmy Buffett music, this plane again. I keep seeing this plane. We opened up our meal with yet another margarita, and it turns out this Margaritaville was the first fancy Margaritaville we would run into. And I know that sounds like weird and contradictory, but the menu was significantly different than what we were used to. We got ceviche, which was honestly really good, and also these poke nachos. And I know that I'm suspicious of Jimmy Buffett, but these were good. And not good in the sense of them being like merely acceptable, these were really good. Which was emotionally and logically confusing for me, so I continued to drink. Eddie was beginning to show some interesting symptoms at this point. He was dancing, he was sipping on the margs, he was feeling the, I guess, island vibes? You're telling me that Eddie Rainforest Hater Burback is enjoying himself at Margaritaville? Something was happening to Eddie, a metamorphosis of some kind. What are you doing to my boy, Jimmy? What do you have planned? I guess we'll figure it out sooner or later.
Waking up on day 8, we had 2 Margaritavilles on the schedule. The first on the list was in Miami. As we headed into the city, we spotted the coolest guy that's ever lived.
What's he doing? Oh, he's flying like a plane.
And then we pulled up to the Miami Margaritaville, which was right on the water. At this point, I am about to give up on trying one cocktail at every Margaritaville. We just drank last night, and it's not even just about the alcohol, it's the sugar when you're having cocktail after cocktail. But for now, I got the last mango in Paris, and good for me, this is one of the best cocktails I've had so far. But a little hungover and exhausted, I spotted a familiar face. I looked up and saw Jimmy once again on the screen, as if to say, "You're all good, pal. Have a good time." I ordered the grilled fish tacos, which for Margaritaville were pretty damn good. Now, if this were at a good taco stand somewhere, they would be mediocre to kind of bad. But for now, they're hitting the spot.
But this Margaritaville was not the most significant location that we'd be hitting today, as we would be heading even further south from Miami. In fact, we'd be heading as far south as anyone could possibly drive in the United States. We were going to Key West, Florida, the southernmost point in the United States.
We're going to have to drive across an entire series of bridges.
It's an ocean highway.
And we were a bit nervous about what the rain situation would be like, given the lightning we had seen the night before, and the fact that we were driving behind a truck with a video game amount of propane tanks on it. But we drove it. For people who are not fans of bridges, this would not be the drive for you, because the majority of this drive involved us being on a bridge over water. If you zoomed out, it looked like we were driving in the ocean. And after 2 hours of driving between islands and bridges, we finally made it to Key West. Location of the original Margaritaville Prime. That is, of course, if you don't include the attempted Margaritaville in Gulf Shores, Alabama, that was allegedly more like a club. We're gonna keep that just between us. Either way, here we are, Margaritaville Prime. On first impressions, you could absolutely tell this was the original Margaritaville. There was even like a GTA loading screen of young Jimmy Buffett painted on the wall, which for some reason, Eddie was implying looked like him. It doesn't. We got yet again another margarita, and as I was slowing down in my enthusiasm for this animatronic-less place, it appeared that Eddie was having a grand old time. He even convinced me to purchase a Margaritaville shirt with him. When in Rome, I suppose. So we left that Margaritaville and checked into our third Margaritaville resort. This one was definitely chiller than Hollywood. It had more of like a motel type setup to the building.
They gave us a free margarita when we checked in. We were walking away, and the lady was like, "Don't forget your free margarita." Thought it was a joke. They were not joking.
We're getting drunk tonight.
Okay.
I did a dramatic walk-off. Anyways, I felt refreshed and was ready to head back to mainland Florida. Today's plan was just to drive up to Orlando and stay at the Margaritaville Resort there. We decided to give ourselves one break day because it's near the halfway point, and then the next day we'd be going to Universal Studios Orlando, where there's a Margaritaville restaurant at their City Walk. The resort in Orlando was giant. Now, Ted was a little bit late to the bookings of the resort, but luckily, even though they ran out of rooms at the hotel, they had these cottages for him to stay in. I instantly just felt relaxed, surrounded by my favorite quotes from my favorite guy. Oh, and also, it was nice to be with my lovely girlfriend, Chrissy. Margaritaville! Chrissy actually wrote a song last year about wanting to live her life at Margaritaville, but unfortunately for her, that's my life now, so that's my thing. The two of us had a bit of a date night and had a fun night walking around Disney Springs, enjoying the sights and just having a nice time. Today is not as interesting. We were just hanging out in Orlando. I got footage of this manatee eating some lettuce, so that's pretty cool. We were also hanging out with...
Did you get it?
We were hanging out with Drew Gooden, my good friend Drew Gooden. But Drew and Amanda did join us on the Rainforest Cafe trip in Orlando last year. So I figured, of course, I would ask them if they wanted to do it again. Do you want to go to Margaritaville?
No,
Serious,
it's just one dinner.
I'm
not eating dinner right
Do it
now.
again. It's tomorrow. Your place. You live here anyway.
I want to go home.
You can do it whenever.
I don't want to.
Back when we were in Biloxi, I feel that I was a bit misguided in how I felt about Jimmy. Staying at our third Margaritaville resort brought me so much comfort. Jimmy was constantly speaking to me and reminding me to be calm, to breathe in and appreciate the beach, and also to drink alcohol. Leaving the resort though, we were headed to Universal Studios Islands of Adventure because Margaritaville was located just outside the park at City Walk in Orlando. Before we entered the park, Chrissy got this awesome hat. I also tried on a hat that I was totally pulling off. Am I pulling it off? But I decided against it because I didn't want everyone at the park to be jealous of me today. We then entered the park and immediately Ted got something called Who Hash, which is, a Dr. Seuss themed food that looks like it's served out of a dog food can.
Cindy, that's her name.
Cindy Lou Who.
Tastes like Cindy Lou Who. Or, I don't know, the mayor.
We then spent the day going on rides and having fun, but right before we left, Chrissy and I decided to go on the Cat in the Hat ride. This ride was absolutely terrifying. What the hell is this? Is this supposed to be for children? Because this would absolutely terrify me as a kid. It terrified me right now. And after being absolutely traumatized by the Cat in the Hat ride, we decided to go to the Margaritaville just outside. This one had an extra bar across the walkway with a plane next to it, and this is where I figured out that every time you see a plane in Margaritaville, it's a replica of Jimmy's personal seaplane, the Hemisphere Dancer. Wait a minute, quick clarification here, this is the actual fucking plane. They retired Jimmy's plane and it is decoration at the Margaritaville in Orlando. I was next to Jimmy's real plane and I had no idea, I'm such an idiot. When we sat down for dinner, I got the Huli Huli chicken and shrimp, and this dish, sucked. The chicken was fine, but the shrimp was really dry. But hey, just like my favorite guy, I spent the day in the sun, I ate some food and had a margarita by the water, and also got to see Margaritaville employees on stilts. It's always fun to see somebody on stilts. You're not supposed to be that tall, and I'll be quite honest, it'd be funny if you fell over.
This Margaritaville was located at a place called Heroes Harbor.
It's sort of like we're kind of heroes for doing this, you know? When my tummy hurts from eating too much Margaritaville, I think I deserve a Purple Heart.
And at this point, I'd been trying to keep an open mind, but entering another Margaritaville, which by the way, we were doing on a Tuesday, was filling me with a new type of dread I had never felt before. Is this what Eddie felt like on the rainforest trip? No, that can't be right. This is different. I ordered a perfect margarita, which is the normal margarita, because I just could not handle the sugar content of any of their other drinks at this time. And I decided to take the adult route and order some salmon to give me a semblance of sanity.
Now we are on our way to Atlanta, go to another Margaritaville. Fuck.
So we headed to Atlanta, Georgia for our second Margaritaville of the day. Everything was going swimmingly. We were making good time on our drive. That is, until disaster struck. As we were driving down the highway, we eventually would hit standstill traffic, and this delayed us for a very long time. This was not good because we had to make it to our next Margaritaville tonight in Atlanta. Eventually, we started moving again, but we had lost a lot of time. So we called and confirmed that the kitchen would be closing at 11 p.m., which was awesome. So we finished our drive to Atlanta and walked over to Margaritaville to eat, only then to find out the kitchen had closed an hour early because they weren't as busy. This was a huge problem because even though the bar was still open, Eddie's goal is to eat at every Margaritaville, so it wouldn't count if we didn't eat here. And we'd be departing from Atlanta tomorrow hours before they'd open again. So if we couldn't eat here tonight, the whole trip would need to be rescheduled. All of the bookings that we made, everything. I didn't really know what else to do in this situation, so I made a gamble. I walked inside and I met with the manager and I said in full honesty, hey, this is gonna sound really, really weird, but me and my friend are going to every Margaritaville in the United States. We really need to eat here tonight because we're leaving early tomorrow morning before you guys open. Is there anything that you can do to help us out? It could just be some chips, literally anything, as long as we eat here it counts. And to my absolute delight, she says, I got you. So she goes back into the kitchen as the restaurant is closing and starts preparing some food for us. We didn't even know what they were making for us either. It was a mystery. But at this moment, we were in disbelief that they were even helping us out in the first place. And after a little bit of waiting and shock, they brought out the food, and it was beyond anything we could have expected. They made us a full set of ribs with fries and chips with some artichoke dip. They even gave us each a margarita. And this food tasted better than anything I had eaten on this trip. The ribs were fall off the bone. The fries tasted like pure kindness. The margarita was infused with joy. We were blown away with just the pure kindness that was displayed to us in this moment. And we left that restaurant and just felt so grateful specifically to this manager for helping us out.
We will now continue to go onward to our next Margaritavilles.
No delay.
No delay.
It is 7 a.m. It is now day 14. 2 whole weeks of my life on Margaritaville. Today was another double Margaritaville day that included 8 to 9 hours of driving. Ted caught up on some sleep as I drove, both of us mentally exhausted. And as we got to downtown Nashville to have lunch, we walked our way to the Margaritaville. This one was pretty standard. You know, it had live music, a tiki room, and a plane on the ceiling. Did I want to be in another standard Margaritaville eating another standard Margaritaville meal? Not exactly, but it's not about what I want, it's about what Jimmy would do. I got a Southwest chicken salad, and when the salad arrived, the chicken was so dry. Which is fine, you know, I don't have a problem with that at all. In fact, I think that's cool as hell. Give me another margarita. Yeah, I can give me another margarita. Margaritaville number 12, I think. How you feeling, Ted?
I'm fucking losing it.
After leaving Nashville, we drove 213 miles to Pigeon Forge, Tennessee. And I'd never been to Pigeon Forge before, so I was confused when everything around us turned into weird gimmicky businesses and something called a dinner feud. The fuck is a dinner feud? Is it a business where you go fight people during dinner? This strange town is where we'd reach our second to last Margaritaville resort. Upon checking in, it was funny to see all of the Margaritaville decorations, but with a clear Tennessee twist to the design. Changes in latitudes, changes in attitudes, brother. We even got a license to chill.
It's engraved into the wood.
I was so worried, dude. Thank God. Can you imagine if we wanted to chill and we don't...
I wasn't that worried about it.
So we walked across the street to eat at our 13th Margaritaville. Another margarita, some more food, and the only thing notable about this Margaritaville was the strange contraption they had, which I assumed was supposed to fill the blender with margarita, but nothing happened the whole time we were there. I was bummed too. I was looking for some spectacle for once.
I wasn't sick of this food or extremely full. I was cool as a cucumber. Does this look like the face of somebody who isn't as chill as Jimmy Buffett? To prove how chill I was, I decided to grab this hat from the gift shop, and I was totally pulling it off. Ted went to finish his video in the room, and a chill guy like me decided to cruise around and see the sights. Normally, even though I don't have a fear of heights, I've generally avoided Ferris wheels. I also don't like doing things socially in public when I'm alone, like riding a ride. But I wasn't normal me anymore. I'd been born again as something much better. Cool Eddie. So when I got in line, I spotted the family ahead of me being forced to take a green screen picture before getting on the ride. And I thought, they're not gonna force me to take that picture by myself, right?
Let me hear you say hallelujah. Hallelujah. Let me hear you say I am blessed. I am blessed.
I got on that Ferris wheel and was totally chill the whole time. I am not worried about how high up we're going. Oh, we're shaking. Oh. So chill, in fact, that I fell asleep while on the ride. Swear to God, I was dead asleep. After I felt phenomenal. Normal Eddie wouldn't have gone on that Ferris wheel alone, but thanks to Jimmy, I have faith. The next day, all we had to do was drive from Tennessee to Atlantic City, New Jersey. After yesterday, I have absolutely zero complaints about the trip. I'm chill, I'm fun, I'm not exhausted in the slightest, and because of that, I decided to catch up on a little bit of reading from my favorite guy. Do you know that Jimmy Buffett is 76 years young?
Cool.
Joe, Jimmy actually has over 30 albums, most of which have gone gold, platinum, or some even have gone multi-platinum. They would hoot and holler and roll all round up there at the church they built out of an old school bus, and they'd run through the swamp. Don't you know nobody fucked with Reverend Sonny Boy and his followers? Snakebite Key was his domain.
And on day 16, we got ready to have
2 Margaritaville meals today from, our favorite restaurant, the most chill place on earth.
That's not true.
Created by your boy, Jimmy the Bee, Jimmy Buffett.
Uh-huh.
Greatest American singer-songwriter to ever grace this earth.
I don't know what's happening to you right now. This is
Cheeseburger in Paradise.
Yeah, no, we've had it.
Margaritaville.
Uh-huh.
His other songs.
Our first stop of the day was in Atlantic City, New Jersey, which is sort of like the Vegas of the Northeast. And normally I would not make that distinction, but in order to reach the Margaritaville, we had to walk through an entire
I'm riding my luck, I'm taking my chances.
casino. So we reached the Margaritaville, and Eddie was behaving even stranger. I guess he's trying to be cool or chill. I'm not sure what he's going for here. He also was looking at the menu like he was seeing it for the first time, and not the 14th consecutive time in 16 days. But hey, another margarita, another round of the same themeless food. Eddie tried to steal some of mine like a little rat. We got another photo taken of us. I'm clearly having the time of my life. Look at me, I'm so happy. And after we finished, as is customary, a quick touch to the Atlantic Ocean, the city of New York, home of the Times Square Margaritaville and our final Margaritaville resort. They somehow managed to fit the flip-flop in this one. And hey, check out this view. That's pretty good. We were joined at this Margaritaville with my best pals from college, Katie and Devin. And I'm not sure what I expected from the Times Square Margaritaville, but I for sure did not expect this. They had a giant replica of the Statue of Liberty holding a margarita. It was playing music, there were stingrays and lights. Oh, shoot. This is kind of cool. Katie and Devin were having a good time. It was a fancy Margaritaville, so our food was good. Oh God, I'm confused. Do I like this place? No. It's just the margaritas. Jimmy's trying to play tricks on me. That's what this is. This is just a trick. But hey, alcohol is alcohol. I'm here with friends and we're here in New York, so might as well have a good time.
Making moves on GPS. Brand new moolah, ain't still fresh. Don't let it fool ya. I get checks. I'm investing half and blowing all the rest, bitch.
Oh, fuck. Oh, my head. I woke up that morning hungover and realized, oh my God, there were still more Margaritavilles to go.
As we make our way out of New York, I need to be honest with you. I know this may come as a shock, but I have not been loving every single Margaritaville. I just can't do it. I can't be like Jimmy. But we were headed to yet another in Syracuse, New York, with Ted's friend Tucker. Pulling up in Syracuse, it seemed to be a mall called Destiny USA. Not exactly a tropical beach somewhere. I parked in a different spot from everyone else and got lost in the mall trying to find them, so I went to this guy Spencer for directions. Word of advice: do not go in there. Arriving to this Margaritaville, it was clear that this one was probably the worst we'd ever seen. It was a lifeless Margaritaville in a mall, the food was below average, and if it wasn't for good conversation in the group, I would have really hated this lunch.
But that wasn't the only location we'd be going to today. So we waved goodbye to Tucker and his wonderful wife Emma, see you later, and began our drive to the one and only Canadian Margaritaville in Niagara, Ontario. All we had to do was just get through Border Patrol, and we did on the first try. We've gotten better at crossing the border. Obviously, Niagara is where one of the best rainforest cafes is located, so I changed into an outfit to try to convince Eddie to let us go.
All right, Eddie, I'm ready.
Ted, we're going to the Margaritaville.
We can't even go just once?
So, without stopping at the Rainforest Cafe, we headed to Canada's Margaritaville. What I didn't know was how much this location would affect me. We got sat down right next to a giant projector, which was playing more Jimmy Buffett propaganda, and normally I'd be frustrated with this, but then something shocking caught my eye. Who are you? I was blessed with a vision of a pirate mascot in this location wearing a Margaritaville shirt. What was the meaning of this? Did Margaritaville have a mascot and I didn't know? And was I falling in love with this mascot? No, that's ridiculous. There's no way I was falling in love with this pirate mascot. That's crazy. I didn't know how to process these feelings I was having, and before I had a chance to try, another volcano alert, but this time, a giant animatronic bottle of tequila comes out of nowhere and begins pouring tequila into the giant Margaritaville blender. They have animatronics too? Wait, what's going on? The menu was special as well. I got a spicy margarita and it was really good. We got poutine as well and it was delicious. I could feel something stirring inside me, something I hadn't felt in a while. Was it possible? And as we exited this Canadian Margaritaville, I began to peruse the gift shop and I saw this. A giant Niagara Falls Margaritaville glass. I must resist. Sorry, I got a little excited there. We finished the night by enjoying a fireworks show over Niagara Falls, and man, Canada, you have done something to me for sure. Tomorrow we begin our journey west for our final 5 Margaritavilles.
Bad news, guys. My tummy hurts again. I don't care anymore. I'm over this whole thing. Today we went to Cleveland, the most tropical Margaritaville that exists. I got a Caesar salad and the chicken on this thing. Wow. Without exaggeration, this was the toughest piece of chicken I've ever chewed in my entire life. And for some reason, out of nowhere, Ted has started liking Margaritaville now? What the fuck is wrong with this guy? Lucky for me, day 19 was in Chicago. Ted and I took the metro into the city because this one was located at Navy Pier. Now, I've mentioned before that I'm from the suburbs of Chicago, so it was really great to be home. And when we arrived at the city, it got even better because we met up with my brother, Tony. When we finally got to Navy Pier, we also met up with my good friend, Danny Gonzalez. Heading into this Margaritaville, I was surprised to see that it looked more like a Chicago tavern than a regular Margaritaville restaurant. Everyone in the group obviously wanted margaritas, and I didn't want to be a buzzkill, so I went for another one again. We noticed that the photos for the fish and chips made them look higher quality than we'd seen before, so out of curiosity, I ordered them again. They looked almost exactly the same. And even though everyone except for me was excited to eat, after the meal, none of us felt good. Okay, so we just got out of Margaritaville and we're all feeling like we had a pretty heavy meal, but I think I know what'll make us feel better. The bean! Bean. Bean. But even the bean couldn't stop my tummy from hurting.
I love the summer rain.
On day 20, we departed Chicago and began our drive to Bloomington, Minnesota for our third to last Margaritaville. My feelings on this restaurant were as cluttered as ever, and this became even more apparent as we reflected on the trip thus far. So we finished our drive, arriving at the Mall of America in Bloomington, Minnesota at 5 o'clock. And after a little bit of searching, we finally made it to the Margaritaville at 5 o'clock. What we didn't expect was for this Margaritaville to be across the hall from the Rainforest Cafe. You can see it in the background of my last video. We had been standing right across from this restaurant a year before, completely unaware we'd be returning here to go to the same spot to go to the restaurant across the hall. Entering this Margaritaville, my conflicted feelings were reaching their breaking point. I was enjoying myself. How could this be possible without the attributes of the Rainforest Cafe? I began to consume, and this food was tasting so good. I was enjoying myself. The environment was wonderful and tropical and stupid, too. Another margarita at this hour? But what time is it? 5 o'clock? No, that can't be right. It was just 5 o'clock. It was just 5 o'clock. Oh God, I'm realizing it now. It's not just 5 o'clock somewhere. Oh God, it's 5 o'clock everywhere. What's happening to me? What a stupid phrase. It just justifies drinking at inappropriate time. Just say that you want to drink at 12:30 in the afternoon. This place is so silly, so ridiculous. How could something like it exist? I reached for my final semblance of sanity, the cheeseburger in paradise, and the question still rattled in my mind as loud as a crashing wave. What is Margaritaville? Oh my God. Oh my God. I figured it out. I think I figured it out. I had been wandering in the dark. It was with me this whole time. It had been this whole trip. I can't believe I didn't see it before. I had been so blind to reality. The theme, it was all around me. In the air, in the sky, in this kooky character. Hell, even in this roller coaster. It was all so clear to me now. I finally understood what I actually like about themed restaurants. I finally understood why I love the Rainforest Cafe. And as a result, why I think I love Jimmy Buffett's Margaritaville too. It wasn't about animatronics or safari fries or gorillas at all. A themed restaurant was so much more and yet so simple. It just had to be stupid. And it was so stupid. And so I realized Jimmy Buffett's Margaritaville was a themed restaurant, at least by my definition. I could finally truly enjoy this restaurant just like I could the Rainforest Cafe. And lucky for me, well, we still had 2 more.
Day 21, and thank God we only have one Margaritaville left in Las Vegas, Nevada. There's another one in Tulsa, Oklahoma, and it's a 10-hour drive. Oh my God. When we arrived in Tulsa, we were shocked to find that this restaurant wasn't just in a casino. The casino was owned by Margaritaville. Walking past the slot machines to get to the restaurant, I noticed that there were Jimmy Buffett quotes on the wall, but they were less about being peaceful and more about luck and winning in the casino. We got to the restaurant and this one was pretty big. Lucky for me, the menu and food quality at this one was much better than most Margaritavilles. And having this food was actually pretty refreshing after a month of cheeseburgers in paradise. But as we left dinner, I noticed how Margaritaville branded the machines in the casino were. And they had these Margaritaville characters on it that I had never seen before. Mr. Moneybags? Lucky Ducky? Who the hell are these people?
So the next day, I decided to kindly and maturely speak to him about it.
So Eddie, when are you going to change your name?
What?
When are you going to change your name?
What are you talking about?
Oh, I don't know. I just thought, based on the way you're acting, maybe you'd be changing your name to Mr. Hates Fun and last name Margaritaville.
What, I hate fun for just being a little bit exhausted? I don't understand what...
I don't know. You tell me, man. I got to where you were at. I was suspicious of Jimmy. And then I opened up my heart to the margaritas, and now all of a sudden you start hating the Margaritavilles? What's the deal, man?
So I just want to start off. I don't think whatever place you're in is where I was at all during enjoying the trip. To be honest, honestly, I want to ask you, you weren't enjoying it when we had like good locations or when we started it, when we were just kind of having a couple of drinks.
I just didn't get it.
I just don't understand how we go to more and more of these restaurants and you like it more, and to be honest, you get weird.
What do you mean I get weird?
All I would need to do is hold up a mirror to you saying that.
Well, unfortunately for you, there's no mirrors in cars, Eddie. Jesus. I just don't understand why we can't be on the same page, okay? We go on the entire trip where we go to Rainforest Cafe, you hate it, you're miserable the whole time, and then we go on this Margaritaville trip, you're loving it, I don't know what's going on, but then I start to like it, and I'm seeing maybe the magic is in the sauce, maybe Jimmy has something going on. I thought maybe we'd understand ourselves for once, but no! So, I ask you, Eddie, why can we not get on the same?
Because it's who we are, Ted!
Oh?
It's who we are. We're different people, okay? You would eat at a restaurant that would give you food poisoning multiple times if there was just a little animatronic to keep you company, okay? And I like to complain about things sometimes. All right, is that so bad? It's who we are.
Well, then I guess that's it.
Yeah.
I guess that's it.
You don't have to say it twice. I said yeah. You said it a third time.
Fuck!
Was it true? Were Eddie and I destined to never be on the same page about these restaurants? I racked my brain, trying to think of a way to bring him back to the light. There was only one location left, so I had to think fast. And that's when I realized
There was still a chance to save him. The last possible thing that could get Eddie on my side once again. Margaritaville's homemade key lime pie. A dessert infused with the soul of the original Margaritaville in Key West. It was the only thing I could do to bring the spirit of Jimmy Buffett back to young Burback's heart. And what a perfect place for our final Margaritaville. Las Vegas, where the seeds were sown for this entire trip. I was ready to implement my plan and bring Eddie back onto my side. However, it seemed like Eddie had done some soul searching as well, because he had a surprise for me.
Stand right there. Ted, we are headed to the final Margaritaville, but what do you say we make one pit stop first? Do you want to go to the Rainforest Cafe and get one drink?
I do.
The Las Vegas Rainforest Cafe was just as I had remembered it. It had a Tracy tree, a cheetah, elephants, monkeys, and of course, thunderstorms. Ted and I got 2 Cheetah-ritas, and man, they were bad. But to my surprise, I liked being back. It was comforting in a way. Not like being home, but sort of like when you pass your old high school and it feels familiar, but you'd never want to spend a full day there ever again. After our quick pit stop, Ted and I said goodbye to the cafe and we're ready to close this whole thing out.
One more.
One more. We walked just 2 blocks down the strip and finally arrived at the final Margaritaville. This one was one of the busiest and most decorated Margaritavilles of the entire trip. And for the first time, I truly felt it. We ordered 2 perfect margaritas and a key lime pie, a dessert to end our 24-day Margaritaville meal. Turns out I can experience true joy like Jimmy, but only when I'm done doing a thing that I have to do. Our pies arrived, and as the key lime hit my mouth, it tasted like one thing. Victory. And that was it. We had eaten at every single Jimmy Buffett's Margaritaville in the US and Canada. Finally, I could go home. We were done. Again. And the only thing left to do was to say goodbye to the man that had helped me through this whole thing. Goodbye, Jimmy. Goodbye, Jimmy. Goodbye, Jimmy. Goodbye, Jimmy's dog. Goodbye, Jimmy.
We had done it again. Every Margaritaville in the United States and Canada. Through the trials and tribulations, the rainforests and the beaches. We had traveled across an entire continent twice just to go to some themed restaurants. We completed 2 road trips for the stupidest reason ever. And you know, despite our differences, we had done it together.
Amore, adesso vieni qui, tra le mie braccia voglio stringerti così e amarti per l'eternità.
And after celebrating our accomplishment that night in Vegas, Ted and I ended our journey looking out on the strip in the exact same spot we had just 1 year before. Our second and final road trip doing something like this was now over. And these 2 journeys have done so much for me. I've been able to see so many beautiful locations across this country. I've been able to make countless memories with people that I love and care about. As a person, I've been able to grow and learn more about myself. But these trips were about something so much more than all of those things. What it's all about at the end of the day is giving 2 giant corporations a ton of my money. And knowing that I did that means that I wouldn't trade these trips for the world. Not even if my family was in danger and doing so would save them.
Con I baci miei io ti darò tutto l'amore che ora ho, perché sei solo tu, l'amore